Yo, what is good, Swipe Nation? Welcome back to another video. I hope you all are having an absolute blessed day today. It is Thanksgiving here in America, and we're absolutely celebrating today. So I figured I might as well bring you guys an absolute classic story just from the good old 2020 times, from the good old days back then. So yeah, this story is about the craziest acid trip I've ever had in my life. Me and my boys, we went down to Detroit, and we had the craziest fucking time possible. But yeah, this the video. So let me make this clear, is that this is not the hardest I've ever tripped on acid, but it was by far the most fun I've ever had on acid. So yeah, this was a classic night back in the winter of 2020. Overall, 2020 was an amazing year for me and my friends because it was the year that COVID hit, and we all got out of high school and had a summer that was 2 times as longer than the normal one. But this actually had happened after we went back to school in late 2020. This was late November, if I remember correctly, and I remember we had just gotten the first of many snowfalls here in Michigan. And if you're from around here or have been here in the winter time, you will know that it's actually really beautiful to drive around in the winter and just see everything with snow on it. Like, it's honestly just absolutely beautiful here. But back in 2020, I hung out with most of the same people as I do today, but I had this one friend group that I hung out with every single weekend, and I have so many stories with this friend group, and y'all will eventually hear most of them. But yeah, there was this one friend group that I always hung out with, and it consisted of my best friend Ryan, one of my really close friends Alex to this day still, and one of my other friends named Jimmy. We don't talk about him much anymore. He did some pretty despicable ass shit that's just really terrible. And he went to jail for it. But yeah, he just kind of fucked up his life, and we don't hang out with him anymore. But yeah, we did all the time back then because Jimmy's house was the every weekend spot for sleepovers. Like I said, he didn't have the biggest house, but we just enjoyed going over there and watch him work on his car. And occasionally we would ride some of his smaller bikes around the neighborhood and whatnot. He also had a pool and a fire pit that we always used to enjoy a few blunts by the fire. And most famously, the garage. The garage where we absolutely did everything. We always smoked there, plotted on life, just talked, anything, watch him work on his car, just do anything. We were absolutely in that garage. That was the sacred place to be if you were at that house. But yeah, the house is pretty basic itself. It just mostly consisted of the basement, which is where we hung out at. And 9 times out of 10 we were just getting fucked up or watching YouTube there. Jimmy, he had his Xbox, but he never really had many games on it, so we never really played it. We usually just watched TV on the actual TV because he had his Xbox plugged off to the side in his bedroom. But getting high was not what we were gonna do today. Tonight we were up to some other shit. You see, the reason why me, Jimmy, and Ryan always hung out was because me, Jimmy, and Ryan lived really within like a mile of each other, and Jimmy lived within the middle of us. So whenever he picked one of us up, he would usually just pick the other one up as well. And also, Jimmy was the first person in our friend group who had a driver's license and a car, so that was a huge thing for us, is that we had a mode of transportation that wasn't our parents, so we could really just be whoever we wanted to be, just chill, listen to music, smoke, whatever in the car. But when I got the call from Ryan asking if I wanted to hang out, telling me who he was with, which would be Jimmy and Alex, I would of course say yes. But I thought we were just gonna be going to chill in his basement like we would normally do. But oh no, oh boy was I wrong. So yeah, I had them pick me up, and when they picked me up, I asked them what we were doing because I wasn't sure. I thought we were just gonna go back to Jimmy's house, and they were like, "Oh, we have something planned for tonight." And then like 5 minutes later, Alex, he pulls something out of his little bag. He pulls a little plastic bag, if you will, out, and he goes, "Jack, I have a little surprise for you." And boy was I excited by that because you see, Alex is a very generous person when it comes to his close friends. He's always offering to pay for our food or give us gas money just whenever we really need it. Overall, a really good friend. He's always been there, he's just a good ass friend overall. But yeah, so I was expecting something like, I was expecting something a little sweet, if you will. I thought he was just gonna give me a cart or something. Just he's like, go crazy on it, just drain it however much you want. Cause that was back when I still smoked carts and all. But nah, that is not exactly what I got. Because Alex busts out this little plastic bag and he gives it to me and he's like, here you go. And I was looking at it and I couldn't really see what was in it because the car was dark as fuck. It was already dark outside. So I decided to bust out that iPhone flashlight, the classic, if you will. And I turned this flashlight on, and what do I see? I see a gel tab staring right up at me, waiting to be eaten. And simultaneously, they told me that they had already taken tabs and we were about to go to Detroit and have the trip of our lives. And I was so excited by this because I had never been to Detroit on acid. I had been to Detroit and the part we went to tonight several times before, and nothing even can remotely compare to this night. So I was super excited by this gel tab. And the thing about gel tabs is that they tend to be like they claim to be 2 times as strong as normal tabs, and I can honestly confirm that because I've tripped several times off gel tabs, almost probably the same amount of times as I've tripped on paper tabs. And I can say that every time when I've tripped on a gel tab, it's just been stronger. The visuals have been better. I've been more fucked up and just a better trip overall. But yeah, I had done acid a few times over the summer, not in the winter yet, so I was really excited for this because most of the time in the summer, I would just go on. There's like a little trail near my dad's house, and it leads to the school, and it's just really beautiful overall. So I just walk down there and just trip fucking balls when I'm here. But that is not what we were doing tonight, obviously, as we decided to go to the Detroit and have an amazing trip. And one thing that I've found out about gel tabs just by experience is that they seem to kick in faster almost, and that is certainly the case to this night is because not even within 30 minutes of taking the tab and just having it chilling under my tongue, I was already starting to focus in on the road a little bit. Like I was just starting to be like locked in, you know. You just start focusing. It's just that feeling you get when you're on acid, that like tingling. It's just so hard to describe, just that good feeling in your body when you come up on acid. It's just like the absolute best feeling, and only if you've taken acid, you'll know what I mean, and if you haven't taken acid, you will not know what I mean. But yeah, I remember I was just sitting in the back of this car, and I just slowly start to come up hard as fuck, because I remember I just start zoning out, and the next thing I know is that I'm just looking at the fucking horizon and I'm just glued to the road, just absolutely glued to the road. But it's pretty funny because Jimmy always wears glasses. Like I rarely see him without glasses. So the fact when he takes off of his glasses when he's driving on the highway and just goes, "I can fucking see. I can see fine." And he's just so ecstatic that he can see without his glasses. That shit was so funny. I don't know how he did it, but he just took off his glasses and started driving fine like he doesn't have a prescription for them because he can't see for shit. But honestly, he did a really good job overall driving this night. Like, shit, solid ass work. If I was tripping this hard on acid, I would probably not be able to drive. But within 10 minutes of that, we had all decided that we would pull off the road. So Jimmy pulled onto a parallel road that was off the highway, just chilling, and we all hopped out of the car. He kept the lights on, and we just got to stretch our legs. And this was the first time that we all came to conclusion that we were absolutely tripping. This had hit us way faster than we were expected, and we were fucked up. Yeah, once we got back into the car, there wasn't too long left until Detroit, maybe like 25 minutes at most. So I was just sitting back, absolutely chilling, being on acid in the back of someone's car. Honestly, tripping in the back of someone else's car is just like a wow. It's so weird to see everything around you, just everything, the cars, the landscape around you, everything is just so weird to see. And speaking of everything being so weird to see, not even 5 minutes after we had got back on the road, we like all looked over simultaneously. It was just so weird to see. There was this fucking ski hill, and it had all these floodlights on, and it was producing so much snow. And all 4 of us were just so shocked to see this. We could not register what the fuck we were looking at. All 4 of us, we thought we were looking at a fucking castle. We almost took the nearest exit just to go adventure. We realized it was a ski hill eventually. We had to rationalize it. But dude, I swear to God, for the longest time, I thought it was a COD Zombies map. I ain't even gonna lie. But yeah, once we got to like the outskirts of Detroit, we pulled into some what's it called? Like a parking lot next to like Little Caesars. This is some little fucking pizza place. And we just got out of the car. Once again, we started stretching our legs and we were plotting on what we were gonna do. We didn't know what we were gonna do tonight. We had drove all the way to Detroit, but we certainly didn't know what we were gonna do. And now that we were tripping, shit, and made it even harder to decide. So what we ended up deciding on was the absolute classic for Detroit. If you guys have ever been to Detroit in the wintertime, you know there's this big ass island in the middle of it, and it has like a Christmas tree, a ice skating rink, all sorts of shit that you can look at. And what we decided we were gonna do is nothing better than just go stare at it like we're crazy as fuck. So yeah, after that decision was made, we hopped back into Jimmy's car. Now, if I remember correctly, Jimmy drove, I believe, a red 2009 Ford Escape when he was working on his Mustang. So obviously, I mean, it holds a lot more people, you know. It's just a better car overall to be driving when you're going long distances. So it was perfect for this night because it had big ass windows and it had a sunroof too, if I remember correctly. So we could stare out at all we fucking wanted to. But yeah, we made our way into Detroit after getting back into the car, and oh my god, I was not ready for the actual city of Detroit on acid. Like I said, I had been there several times, and I've been to this actual part like several times before. But it's just completely different on acid. Like everything's changed. It's just a complete eye opener. Like I was honestly shocked by this. It was just crazy, like seeing all these massive buildings just connected to each other. I had never seen anything like this on acid before, and it just reminded me of Manhattan, New York, because I used to live there. So I always seen that, and it just reminded me of that, but like so much bigger and more expanded because I was on acid and my brain's all fucked up. Like your brain just gets so weird when you're on acid. Like you're looking at buildings and they just like look like they're looming over you and all. It's just crazy like what the visuals of acid actually do to your brain. And I remember Ryan and Jimmy and Alex, all three of them, they were the same as me. They were just astonished because they had never seen anything like this before. It just looks so crazy. Everyone just rolling their windows down and sticking their heads out like they had just came out of a fucking cave or something. Even Jimmy was kind of struggling to drive at this point. He was driving in a straight line fine, but his ass just kept getting distracted because it's just so weird to see all these fucking tall buildings and bright lights when you're just tripping balls on acid. So yeah, like I mentioned before, we had ended up deciding on finding a parking garage and getting out and walking around in the middle of the city. So that's exactly what we did. We started looking for a parking garage. I'm not sure why we never did street parking because I feel like that would have been easier just to find a spot that was near and then park up. But nevertheless, we still hit up the classic fucking parking structure and it worked out just perfectly in the end. So yeah, we just pull up to the first parking structure we see and we enter with absolute ease, just like the Pink Panther, like an absolute bandit, if you will. We enter that bitch, we get our ticket from the machine, whatnot, and we park up on the first floor because it's late at this point and there's not many people out. So we had, we got the nice little first floor parking, absolutely respectable. And yeah, we got out of the car pretty fast and we made our way to the front of the parking structure pretty fast as well because we were pretty eager to get this trip underway. And we were all tripping pretty fucking hard at this point, so we were just excited and ready to see what Detroit had to bring us for the night. But I'll never forget the second all four of us stepped outside. It felt like we had literally came out of a time machine. It felt like we had crossed a barrier, a force field, if you will. It was like we were truly in a new world, and I'm sure that none of us were ready for what it actually felt like. It was just truly, it felt like we were absolutely free. Like I can't even begin to explain it. I just remember I just kept looking up at the sky and down at my feet, and that's all I was doing. Like I just kept walking, but I was just looking up and down repeatedly. Like I couldn't even make sense of it. And I could tell the other three definitely didn't either because we completely looked like outsiders. We looked like Martians. We looked like we weren't even from this planet. We looked like we had just came out of a fucking time rift. Like we definitely did not look good at all. And none of us knew what the fuck was going on. We were just standing there looking around, just absolutely dumbfounded at what we were seeing. And we ended up going down this alleyway, which led us to the place we wanted to go to faster. And I remember just making our way down the alleyway. It was so weird because I just like looked over and I saw all this graffiti, and it was just it was the weirdest shit to see while I was tripping. Just the vibrant colors on the wall just reaching out to me. And you know how the graffiti artists make it? They make it so it's like 3D. That shit is absolutely crazy to see. I could not take my eyes off it. We were probably walking down that bitch for like 2 minutes and it felt like 10 minutes to me. That's just because the concept of time and your brain does not go well together on acid, and it's just really trippy. Time is just not a good concept on acid. Everything just feels so hella stretched out. But eventually we make it out of the alleyway. We stagger out of that bitch looking like we had just came out of a fucking, I don't even know. We staggered out of the alleyway and made our way towards the center of Detroit. We could see it from there mostly, and it was absolutely breathtaking. Like I've never seen anything more beautiful in my life than this place when I was on acid. Like, oh my god, I couldn't even take pictures because pictures couldn't describe what I was seeing. It was just the most beautiful and surreal thing I've ever seen. Just the combination of lights and shapes coming towards my way just made me feel absolutely stupid. It made me feel retarded. It made my brain feel loose, and I loved that feeling. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I felt amazing being there. And I could tell all the other three did too, because their heads were just completely glued. Like we were like all locked on to just this center point, and we were just moving forward. Like our bodies were moving forward, but our heads were not moved. Like we were just completely locked on, staring at this shit. And I could tell everyone was absolutely enjoying it. because we kept just walking around this thing in circles. Like, it's pretty big, and we kept just walking around it in circles, stopping from crosswalk to crosswalk. And to any normal person, any good citizen who looked at us, they could have tell. They would just know. They would know we were instantly fucked up. They would know we were just relentlessly tripping on acid in the middle of Detroit. Like, it was definitely pretty obvious. We were being pretty loud, and we all just looked super fucked up. Like, we did not look like normal people at all. We damn near blended in with the homeless people on the side of the street, which is pretty crazy considering we were just tripping the fuck on acid. But yeah, it wasn't even too late. It was only like 12 or 12:30, but I honestly didn't see too many people out there. It was kind of weird because I thought there were going to be a lot more people out. Like, we saw a decent amount of cars. It's just a major city, but there was not a lot of people on the sidewalk, which actually kind of surprised me. But that didn't matter because right now, me and my three friends, we were completely foreign to this world. We were in a different planet. Like, we weren't even here. We were just walking. We were coexisting with the community. Like, it was just bad. We were absolutely fucked up. But yeah, we never ended up actually going into that center island with the ice rink and all. I have no clue why we never ended up going in there. But we just ended up walking around in circles until we found this little, I don't even know what it was. It was like a street, but it was made for pedestrians. And let me tell you, it was not only made for pedestrians, it was made for us that night. It was so beautiful. Just the tall buildings and the stores under them. Because you know how they have stores under the buildings and then they just go tall ass buildings up. So beautiful. The trees, everything. The flowers that were just waving and breathing at us. And the lights that were inviting us to come over and just stare at them with our mouths open. Everything was so welcoming there, and there was only like one or two people there, if I recall. So it was just absolutely the perfect place for us to just go and trip. And I can tell that Ryan, Jimmy, and Alex has had the same thought as me because we simultaneously all just went over there. We were in like a figure, just this figure pack of people moving around. It was it was so weird to see. We were just walking around in this figure, just absolutely menacingly tripping on acid. And we weren't even talking half the time because each of us were so fucked up. We were in our own world. We just had each other as company and we were just having our own trips. Like, it's just so weird to describe. It's just the beauty of acid. Like, we were all just walking around in our own fucking world, barely functioning. We were somewhat having conversations with each other, but like for the most part, it was just wow. We were just walking around silent, just absolutely staring at everything that came into our view. And I could only wonder how Ryan was feeling because this motherfucker, this crazy man, took two of those gel tabs. I've taken two of those gel tabs before, and it was probably the hardest I've ever tripped in my life. I was so fucked up in that, so I could only imagine how he was composing himself in Detroit, just super fucked up off of two gel tabs. But we ended up walking around there for a pretty long time. I'm not sure how long it actually was because I had no sense of time, like I mentioned earlier. But eventually we started to get sketched out. I have no reason why. It's not like the cops were going to pull us over. And if anything, we just had vapes on us or cards, so they wouldn't even have cared. But we just got super sketched out, so we decided it was probably the time to go back soon. Like I said, there's no chance we were ever going to get pulled over by the cops that night, but you have to remember that all of us are stupid kids, stupid ass high school kids with the IQs of rocks tripping on acid. So we didn't have a real thought process. We were like, shit, bro, probably about to get caught. So we just dipped out of there. You know, we casually strolled on out of there, slowly made our way back to the parking garage, just enjoying our night, enjoying the views while we were out, and absolutely tripping fucking dick. And it was just really weird because all of us kept just whipping our fucking heads around. All four of us just paranoid walking back for no reason to be paranoid. We just kept fucking whipping our heads around. It was violent every few seconds to make sure no one was following us or no one was in a car. It was just your average tweaker shit when you're on acid. But yeah, we made our way back to the parking garage, and this is where things took a turn for the worse because we thought we were fucked. In the moment, we were fucked. We get to the parking garage, and there's the chain, everything, it's just closed. You can't bring a car in, you can't take a car out, chained off. The gates are up, it's just closed, and we are fucked. We are terrified. Now, none of us started having a bad trip or anything, but we just had to rationalize what the fuck we were gonna do, because we were locked out of a parking garage, and the car was inside, and we had no way of getting inside. So we did not know what the fuck to do at all. I thought we were going to have to make our way and climb up these like fucking 15, 20 feet wrought iron like fucking just beams. That would not have worked. All four of us were just tripping horribly on acid, and there's no chance we would have been able to climb up that shit. So we did the second option, and we started to walk around the building. And thank fucking God, lo and behold, there is this side door. It's just propped open ever so slightly. Like it's not even supposed to be open, but it's open for us, and it was meant to be there. I was getting kind of scared. I thought we were going to have to sleep on the streets of Detroit for a second and wait until that shit opened in the morning. But we were not out of the mud yet because we had gotten inside of the parking structure, but we still did not even know if that was going to open up once we paid our ticket. So we were pretty scared still for the most part, but we had high hopes, honestly. But we walk into that bitch like we're fucking like we own the place, of course. And there's a cop posted up on the second story. We didn't really think much of it. I was like, yo, there's a cop. Let's just be chill. But we were tweaking. We ran over to the car and we hopped the fuck on in. And I've never felt better sitting down in a car in my entire life. I was so relieved. But like I said, we still didn't even know if we were going to get out. But just sitting down in that car, it brought like so much pleasure to me. I was just absolutely relaxed and excited. And all four of us were pretty just like, what the fuck after that. So we just turned on the car, listened to music for a second, waited for it to warm up before we proceeded to back out. Well, Jimmy backs out of his parking spot, and we pull up to the beloved ticket machine, the absolute fucking savior of the night. And he puts his ticket in, Jimmy puts his ticket in, and he pays for it. And lo and behold, that little orange thing, it moves back, and the chains and the gates, they move away, and we are free. And holy shit, I have never felt more relieved in my entire life. It literally had felt like I just saw a shooting star 100 fucking feet in front of me. Like I had felt like I just won the lottery making it out of that situation. And I'm sure Jimmy felt damn near the same as me because he was the one that was driving. It was his car. And, we were all super fucked up. So if anything went wrong, he would have been fucked. But yeah, we were absolutely celebrating at this point. Our hopes were super high. We had made it out of what we thought we were going to be completely fucked in. And now it was time to turn the fuck up and enjoy the rest of our night. Because we were damn near at our peaks at this point. Like, we were tripping hard as fuck. We weren't out there for too long, but we were out there for a while. So we were peaking hard as fuck. But yeah, Jimmy pulled us onto the highway. And it was time. We turned on some good ass Detroit music all the way back home with the windows rolled down, just living life like we were kings. Absolutely all four of us in the zone, singing every word to every song on the ride home because we were just turned. It was the most beautiful car ride home, and wow. I can say I learned a few new songs from that night that I still listen to over 2 years later. But yeah, there was nothing else of significance on the drive home. We were just honestly vibing, listening to music, just chilling with the windows rolled down. But yeah, we eventually get off the highway and drive the 2 or so miles back to Jimmy's Loomy Street. It was so loomy. It was just dimly lit. The fog was evenly set. And it was just so weird. The street winds around, taking you down around the lake. But we didn't even make it that far because not even halfway down Jimmy Street, we pulled into Jimmy's driveway and just chilled. We had made it home and completed the absolute most successful night ever. We were all super hyped just to go relax in his basement and chill, and his mom was pretty cool about the smoking and drinking and leaving and coming back late, so it was never really a big problem for us. We never had to sneak out or anything, so Jimmy put in his garage code and we all filed our way down, silently down to the basement, because we didn't want to keep his mom up. We didn't want to wake her up just to respect her. So yeah, we make our way downstairs, and me, Ryan, and Alex find our designated spots on the couch. We claim different spots every time, but the couch is pretty comfortable. And Jimmy had this big old, like, grandfather's chair. It reclined. It was super nice. He always slept on that, even though his bed was like 5 feet away. So he just hopped down in that, and we relaxed, settled down on the couch, and we're ready to fucking sleep. And I remember Jimmy lit this candle, and it had 2 flames. And I remember it had 2 flames because we ended up staring at that candle for hours. Because did you really think we were going to go to sleep? Hell no, there's no way we could have fell asleep then. So we're all just chilling there in the silence, trying to fall asleep, until some of us, we just start making these funny ass remarks, like stupid ass shit, to make the other people laugh, you know what I mean? And eventually we all realize that we're not going to fall asleep, so we all just hop into a full ass conversation. And one thing about Alex is that he will sleep anywhere and whenever. So he was actually able to fall asleep pretty fast. He did join the conversation at first, but he ended up passing out about like 30 minutes after. So it was just up to me, Jimmy, and Ryan now to carry the rest of the night. and carry the rest of the night. We did. For the next 4 hours, us three tried to formulate sentence and have a conversation, and I can tell you right now that it just made absolutely no sense. It was like all three of us were having a conversation with each other, but nothing we were saying makes sense, but it all made sense because all of us were so fucked up. Anyone looking in on the outside would have probably thought we were crazy because none of us knew how to actually talk right, and because we were also all completely fixated on this candle while we were talking. Like, I don't think I made eye contact with a single one of them. I think all three of us were just dead set on this candle for 4 hours straight, just talking about complete nonsense. But I was absolutely fixated on these two dancing flames in the candle. This was absolutely beautiful and more crazy than I had seen anything in Detroit tonight. Like, I don't know what it was about a candle that made it so beautiful, but just staring into that for literally 4 hours, it just melted my brain completely. Like, seeing the candle wax melt just completely melted my brain. But yeah, through our fucked up conversations and all, eventually it gets to be the morning and sun start peeking in through the windows that are at the top of his basement. So, I mean, what else better to do than get McDonald's? So we go over and we try and wake Alex up, but knowing Alex, he's a really hard sleeper and he's even harder to wake up if he doesn't get up himself. So we tell him we're going to McDonald's several times and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting up." But obviously, he doesn't get up, the classic. So yeah, me, Jimmy, and Ryan just ended up going to McDonald's ourselves and driving through that McDonald's around like 6:37, like absolute kings. Let me tell you, the orange juice and the hotcakes I got absolutely fucking destroyed. Like, I've probably never had a more appetizing meal in my entire life. And I'm sure Jimmy and Ryan had the same experience as me because we absolutely enjoyed our meals as the sun was coming up. But taking one good look at myself, Jimmy, or Ryan, you could clearly tell that we had just came out of a Walking Dead audition. Like, we had looked completely fatigued. We just looked drained of energy, absolutely exhausted, and we were ready for fucking bed. So let me tell you, once we were done with this McDonald's, I had Jimmy drive me back to my house because my house was literally like a minute down the road from this McDonald's, and I was absolutely ready for bed. And now I don't really remember if I had snuck out in the first place, but I'm pretty sure I snuck out to do this whole trip by myself because I remember coming in and being scared of my mom seeing me, even though it was like 7:30 in the morning and I could have just told her I woke up early and came home. I was just scared of her seeing me. But thankfully she had not woken up yet and I was able just to sneak right on upstairs and hop in my bed and I was ready to sleep. And I slept like a fucking crater, let me tell you. At least 12 hours went into my body of regeneration, and I deserved it because hey, shit, we went through some shit that night. But yeah, that was the story of my crazy acid trip. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. This took hours to make, so if you guys would want something like this again in the future, let me know because I would be gladly to do it. But yeah, I hope y'all have an amazing day, absolute blessed time whenever y'all are watching this, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.